Dear students, I am Pragya Lakshmi. Since we all are locked up at home due to this pandemic, so of course, completing the syllabus on time can be a task. Therefore, I attempted to make a PPT PowerPoint presentation where I have also recorded narration to it so that it becomes more meaningful and more easy for you to understand. Since this situation is inevitable, so this is the least we can do right now. I hope it will be beneficial for you. Today we are going to do the first poem of your book, First Flight, which is named as Dust of Snow, written by the poet Robert Frost. Before going through the poem, I would like to give you a brief account on the poet that I usually do in the classroom studies also. So our poet is Robert Lee Frost. You can see on your screen there is a picture of the poet Robert Frost. Robert Lee Frost is a 20th century poet. He is an American poet and playwright who was popular not only in United States of America but also in England. He was born in San Francisco, California on 26th March 1874. He is a modern poet who always wrote in his own style. His approach was realistic rather than the political one. And he never imitated the ongoing or the current trends. So, he is one of the most well-known poets of all the time. He has written many poems like Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, A Boy's Will, and many other poems. He won Pulitzer Prize 4 times for poetry and died in the year 1963. Now, since I have given you a small introduction to the poet, I have also asked you a question that can you recall any of the poems written by Robert Frost that you have studied in your previous class? Think over it. You may answer the questions that I'll be asking during the lecture or the questions that have been asked in the PPT. You may answer all the answers of the questions later on this platform. Before delivering any lecture, I would like you to ask yourself 3 questions. As you can see on the screen, I have posed 3 questions for you. First one is, do you think our mental condition depends on our surroundings? Second, can it be changed according to it? Here, the first 8 refers to the mental condition and the second one refers to the surrounding. Means, can the mental condition be changed according to the prevailing surrounding? And your third question, the last one is, how has this coronavirus pandemic that we are going through right now, how has this coronavirus pandemic affected one's mental condition? I will give you a few seconds to ponder over these questions. I hope you all have understood the questions. So we came to a conclusion that every change, even if it is even if it is a very small change in the surrounding, makes a huge difference to us. If we notice what we are going through now, the main issue that we are facing is how to manage and react to this stressful situation that is unfolding so rapidly in our lives and communities. Hence, it is quite obvious that surrounding has a great impact on our mental condition. The poem that we are going to discuss today is pretty much related to the questions that we have discussed in the previous slide. When you read the poem, you will come to know that how a small thing, even an unnoticeable thing in the nature, can change can change somebody's state of mind. When you'll read the poem, you'll come across two things. Poet Robert Frost has mentioned two things in the poem. One is the black crow and the another one is the hemlock tree. As we all know that crow is commonly a symbol of death and fear. It is not associated with any goodness. And the same is the case with the hemlock tree. Hemlock tree is usually associated with poison and toxicity. Maybe you have heard the terms, names, poison hemlock or poison parsley. So people usually stay away from something that is depressing or dangerous. But Frost in this poem shows another side of the crow and the hemlock tree. Let's see how he does that. Here is the poem. As you can see, it is only 8 lines long and seems to be the simplest of short poems. It has 2 stanzas consisting of 4 lines each. It seems very simple but has a very deep meaning and possibility. As Frost himself wrote, what is unsaid in any work of art, that unsaid part is its best part. This poem is about optimism, and it gives a message to the readers about finding something positive in negative things. It also deals how does nature heals and helps with negative emotions. This poem tells that even a simple moment has a large significance in one's life. The poet has mentioned crow and hemlock tree in this poem. Crow signifies his depressive and sorrowful mood, and hemlock tree is a poisonous tree, as I told you earlier. Both this signifies that the poet was not in a good mood, and so he describes the dark, depressive, and bitter side of nature to present his similar mood. Now I will read the lines of the poem. I am reading the first stanza. The way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. Here the poet Robert Frost recounts a small incident, means he recalls a small incident that changes his mood. It seems very simple, but it has a great significance. The poet was very, very depressed and hopeless. He was in a state of sorrow and he was lost in his thoughts. He was standing under the hemlock tree. Then suddenly a crow that was sitting over that hemlock tree, shook the tree, vibrated the tree, trembled the tree, and fine particles of snow from the tree fell on the poet. Here, dust of snow. You can just look at the screen. Third line of the first stanza, dust of snow. Here, dust has been metaphorically used. Here, metaphor. What is metaphor? Metaphor is a figure of speech that describes an object or action in a way that is not literally true, but helps explain an idea or make a comparison. Here the poet compares the mass of snowflakes atop the hemlock tree with dust. So here dust is the fine particles of the snow. So in the first stanza the poet is recalling he is under the tree and he is lost in thought. He is in a very pensive mood, depressive mood. Suddenly a crow that was sitting over the tree trembled the tree, and some fine particles of snow from the tree fell on the poet. Now come to the second stanza. Has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. So here the poet is saying that when the soft and cold snow, when the soft and cold particles of the snow fell on the poet, it changed his state of mind from sadness, from boredom, from hopelessness to great joy, to bliss, to happiness. He started feeling peaceful and refreshed. This simple incident helped him enjoy the rest of the day. and he became very happy as it saved his rest of the day from being wasted. After reading the poem, we find that the poem reiterates that the poem say it again and again, repeatedly, that the little things in life can make huge changes in our future. Now come to the gist of the poem. You can go through the gist and I have explained it also. After the explanation of the poem, let us have a look at the literary devices that the poet has used in the poem. Let us begin with the rhyme scheme. We have discussed how to identify a rhyme scheme in the poem in the previous classes. The rhyme scheme of any poem can be identified by observing the words at the end of each line. Like in the first stanza, here rhyme scheme in the first stanza, rhyme scheme is A B A B. Now look at the last word of the first line. Last word of the first line is crow, so mark it as a A. Then in the second line, the last word is me, but me doesn't rhyme with crow, means me doesn't rhyme with A, so mark it as B. Then come to the third line. The last word is snow. Snow rhymes with crow, so snow, it means snow is rhyming with A, so again mark it as A. Then come to the fourth line. The last word is tree. Tree rhymes with the word me, means tree rhymes with B. So here the rhyme scheme goes like A B A B. In the same way, in the second stanza, first line, last word, the word is heart, and heart neither rhymes with A nor with B, so we'll mark it as C. Then in the next line, the last word is mood. Mood also doesn't rhyme with A, B and C, so we'll mark it as D. Then the last word is part. In the next line, part rhymes with heart, so it rhymes with C, so we'll mark it as C. Then rude, in the last line, the last word is rude and it rhymes with mood, so it rhymes with D. So the rhyme scheme for the second stanza goes like C D C D. So the rhyme scheme for the entire poem is A B A B C D C D. Now come to the figure of speech used by the poet. What is figure of speech? We have also discussed this figure of speech in the previous class. Figure of speech is a phrase or expression that uses words in a figurative way rather than in a plain or literal way. It is used in any piece of writing to add emphasis and clarity and make the writing more interesting with the addition of color or freshness. So the first figure of speech that the poet has used, we can see this figure of speech in the entire poem, that is imagery. Imagery is used to appeal to a reader's sense. Without imagery, we may not imagine the situation in the intended manner that the poet or the author had in mind. Like we can see in the poem, like a crow scattering snow from hemlock tree and dust of snow falling on the poet to depict positive effect of nature on the poet. So these are the imaginations. We can imagine these things in our mind. Now come to the second figure of speech, that is alliteration. Alliteration is a figure of speech in which series of words begin with the same consonant sound. Like you have seen has, the H, saved, S. So this is alliteration. The next one, the last one is enjambment. Enjambment is a figure of speech when the same sentence continues to the next line without the use of any punctuation marks. This is called enjambment, and you can see that it has been used throughout the poem. Here is your assignment for the day, and I expect you to do all the questions and send it to me. I'll come with more PPTs and explanations.
Good day and thank you for listening.